This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you're tuning in from around the world. Welcome to INC Radio Florida. Yes, INC Radio Florida. This is the sunny side up of the globe, you all. So no matter where you go, Florida, the state of Florida, the District of Florida, yes, we are the sunny side up. Now, so whether the sun is just rising over the skies like it is here in the state of Florida, or if it's setting down there in your city, or if it's even behind the clouds, we're going to bring some sunshine to you. Yes, because again, we are the sunny side up of the globe. I'm Valerie Joy Ali. You can call me Joyful because yes, I'm full of joy. And I'm delighted to be one of your hosts today. And I'm excited to take you on the radiant ride for today's show because it is going to be very exciting. And it's actually one of my favorite topics because today we're going to be leading conversations that have to do with development. Now, specifically, we're going to talk about leadership development. And more specific than that, we're going to talk about leadership development in our youth. Now, for those of you who are tuned in or if you're listening, please continue to watch because this is for everyone. This is not just specific for youth. This is not just specific for leadership. This is for everyone. So while our topic is going to be specific for leadership development in our youth, again, leadership is for everyone. And I'm really excited to discuss this and have some real life conversations about why it's so important to nurture leadership development skills. So I just want to say first that leadership is in everyone. I say this again, no matter where you are, you're probably thinking, I'm not the leader type. I don't like to stand in front of people. I'm not a direct report. But again, leadership skills are for everyone because we're all part of a family. We all have relationships. We're all part of a community. And so the skills that we're going to discuss develop confidence, right? Communication, when it comes to fostering teamwork. These are things that are very, very important and are considered life skills. So you don't have to be a direct report again for an organization or stand in front of people to be a leader. These are skills that all of us can relate to. And I'm really excited because guess what? We're going to be having conversations about leadership skills, not just with anyone, but we have quite the core, which you all might be familiar with. And I'm excited to kind of go around and introduce each of you. We're first going to begin. These are some familiar faces to you guys. So I'm going to go on the west side of Florida, the state of Florida, and let's go over to Sister Cass. Welcome, Sister Cass, and thank you for joining us today. Tell us a little bit. I mean, we all know you've been with us before, but just kind of introduce yourself briefly and let us know what your role is again for those who are just newly tuning in.
Hello, and thank you for once again allowing me to join INC Radio Florida. I'm Sister Cassandra Gallion from the local congregation of Tampa, Florida, and I am the District Kadiwa President. And I have invited some of my fellow co-officers, some from CORE, one from a committee, to join us this evening, today. So I will pass it to Brother Andrew to introduce himself.
Good morning, Paul. Thanks, Sister Cass. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Brother Andrew from the District Kadiwa. I act as Sister Cass's Vice President for the District Kadiwa. I'm also from the locale of Jacksonville, Florida. So for everyone in Jacksonville who's viewing this, I get to see you guys.
Yay, that's the north side. So for those of you who are not familiar with the geography of Florida, Brother Andrew is from the northern side. It's up north. So is it any cooler up there than it is here, the central part? What's your weather like?
I do have to say, when I go to Orlando, it's a little bit like the heat kind of stings a little bit. Then when you go to Tampa, it's like it becomes when people say it's hard to breathe, that's Tampa.
Okay. Okay, Tampa, because Tampa's more to like towards the water, right? But yeah, it's always kind of a fresh, a breath of fresh air when we go northern, to Jacksonville area. So good, very good, very good to have you. So thank you again for joining us. Should we go? Where do you want to go to next, Sister Cass? Which direction of Florida?
Let's go to Sister Julia.
Let's go back down here.
Hello. Hello, my name is Sister Julia Demetita. I'm from the local congregation of Daytona Beach, the worship service. I assist in the District Kadiwa as the secretary. So just a lot of reports for me.
Those are important. Those are important. And I'm excited you say just reports, but I'm excited to start having conversations with why leadership traits and skills, right, are important for these reports and stuff like that. So excited.
Yes, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being with us. So where are we going to next?
Before I introduce this next one, I would just like to say Sister Julia is being so modest because she is so much more than just reports. But love to introduce a fan favorite to the show, which is why I also wanted to make sure he made a comeback onto this episode. Our chair for one of the committees, I'm going to introduce Brother Angelino.
Hello, everyone. It's me again. I hope you're happy to see me. I'm Angelino, and I'm in the locale of Orlando. But within the district, I am the Arts and Culture Committee chairperson. So if there's an activity, you got to sing, you got to dance, anything with arts.
Yes. And
that's the crew.
Yes. I love it. I love it. And, music plays such an important role for all of our activities. And we're just delighted to not only have you, but to also incorporate that in all of our activities. So thank you again, all of you, for joining us. I'm really excited because, so each of you have discussed your specific roles now, and this is only specific that you guys introduced to what your roles are inside the Christian Family Organization. Now, if you're tuning in to us for the first time, the Christian Family Organizations, and you'll hear us say this, we'll say CFO is an organization in the Church of Christ where all the family, there's different categories, and it's based on seasons of life, right? So we have CWS, which are our youth that are 4 years old and up to about before baptized. And then we have Binhi. The Binhi are from baptized about age up into about 17 years old. And then we have Kadiwa. Kadiwa are what you see some of our group here. The Kadiwa are 18 years old above and not yet married. So when we say youth, today specifically, we're talking about our Kadiwa here are going to be talking about some of those skills that they practice, not only, in the CFO or the Christian Family Organizations, but how these things have helped you just in life in general, right? Because normally speaking, let's say, like for me, I landed my first job, I think it was 14. Yeah, I think I was 14, right? And it was like a real big girl job. I was it's comparative to like an HR assistant. So I remember that these skills were important for me. Like, and I got skills because of the CFO organization that helped me in that job. So I kind of want to talk about things like that. So what are some of the skills that you guys have each developed and learned while being in the Christian Family Organization that have helped you not just, performing our responsibilities in CFO, but also, when it comes to other areas of your life. So if we can kind of go around table, let's start with you, Brother Andrew. Your current role in the Kadiwa is vice president. Now that's huge. That's a huge task, and that's a huge responsibility, right? So what are some of the things that what are some of the responsibilities that you have that require you? Even if you go into this role and that we do this, especially when it comes to the Christian Family Organizations, we do this out of love. In the Church of Christ, we might still be like very like at an infant stage when it comes to some of our skills. But the most important thing that we have is love, because, we do this most of all because, we love our mighty God, and we want success for our organization. But if you can share with us, like, rolling into that position, what are some of the things that you have to do?
So for the District Kadiwa, as the vice president, I help out at the cast when it comes to overseeing some of the committees. The ones that I oversee directly would be our leadership enhancement development
Mhm.
and edification and propagation. So when it comes to helping with the District Kadiwa, really helping them organize what their next activities are. Um, Previously, I was part of a committee before too, so knowing what their responsibilities are, I can help guide them if they have any questions or concerns about what kind of details are necessary for certain activities, at least specifically for their area of the district deal or for the area of CFO. And I would say it's um,
Mhm.
like what you mentioned before, having that love and care for
Yeah.
um, your responsibilities. We A lot of what we do is for the people that are under our care, so we try to keep them in mind when it comes to the kind of activities that we're caring for them, and I feel like that plays a big role for that.
Oh, that's big. Yeah. And, you're, as you've mentioned, you've talked a lot about activities, right? And inside the Church of Christ, activities are huge. These are big because as members of the church, these activities help remind us of what our values are, because these activities are focused around our Christian values, right? And so, we've mentioned how you mentioned how we have a leadership development. You mentioned how we have an edification, committee, and how we have our, we have Brother Angelino here who represents arts and culture, and we talked about music. These are activities that help keep our youth. And when I say youth, again, this is not just, Kadiwa. We have our Kadiwa core here, but this is for our youth. And this is including parents, right? That keep us focused on good things and keep us busy in good things. And I love how you said, you're taking those that are under your care, because we really do care, right? And um, being vice president, and taking on all these that are under your care, do you have to do any of that when it comes to working outside of your responsibilities of being like when it comes to work in your career, Brother Andrew? Do you find that?
Right. So let's say when you start like a new job, the people that might interview, they'll ask you like, are you aware of our company or the kind
Mhm.
of things that we're looking for? They have like their overall goal for how they want other people to see their company.
Mhm.
Um, I would say that having that care for what you do will
Mm.
show up a lot in the quality of your work that you do as well. Um,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
outside of church responsibilities, when it comes to working at a corporate level, understanding the importance of your role as a part of the greater whole helps you understand why it's important, why what you do is important, and what responsibilities are, um, how they're crucial to the part of the overall body of work.
You know what? I remember we had this conversation earlier and you mentioned that. And just as you touched on it, you said like when you are at work, right? You'll have tasks. So you have a job, right? No matter where you are in life, you have this job and you have these tasks that you have to complete, right? And you mentioned this, like understanding the bigger picture. And these were your words, Andrew. And I love how you said that, when you understand the bigger picture, instead of saying, okay, why do I have to do this? Why is the process like this? Why do I have to do it this way? As an employee, you understand the bigger picture and you understand the role of what your superiors are, because you're like, okay, well, the process of why they want us to do this, I understand it. This is why this would be a more efficient way of completing whatever responsibilities I have, right?
Mhm.
And I love that you said that, because you kind of put it in twofold. You understand the why, and you also understand the reason why your superiors are telling you, okay, well, let's do it this way, or these are your current responsibilities. So I think that's so important. And those are things that we can learn and work on when it comes to being in the Christian family organization or taking on leadership roles inside the church, right? Yeah. And that's so, I think that, and I'm going to say this as a parent, I think that is so, it's so filling, and it's so good. So for all of you parents, let's, encourage your children to be part of the CFO, especially these are encourage them to take on these responsibilities. Please don't feel daunted by it, because it helps us practice these skills. And like you said, Brother Andrew, it helps us prepare for those corporate level jobs and reporting, because those are things that you kind of don't think of. We go to school as kids, we learn these skills, we get these knowledge, and then you go into work. Like you said, you got that interview and you're already nervous during that interview, and you're like, okay, I got to get this job. I got to get this job. And then it's like, right? But with those practice, I mean, and skills are something you have to constantly practice. You get that. And that's really nice to hear. Julia, we're going to go down to you, because we talked about this, and I love how you mentioned earlier, before, when we had our pre-show, we were in a conversation talking about how it's so important when you're young to have some of these roles. So can you tell us too, how young were you? Where did you start off when it came to building or starting your leadership?
For me, it started off probably, I would say, I would include, as you said, as we were talking the pre-show, CWS Choir,
Ooh, I love it.
because that is really where you kind of form a sense of responsibility for something. Because as we were touching on earlier, a lot of the things you have to prepare for the choir, like your toga bags, your hymnal books, even being a part of that structure where, after going to church, you have choir practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, it's like, oh, I still have schoolwork and all of these things, things like that. So it's just a lot of structure within your life that is already being formed at that early age. I'd say is where it all started for me, because then it gave you that sense of responsibility and accountability to make sure that, you're performing your duties.
How old were you when you started?
I think oh gosh, I really don't remember. I was probably 10, under 10.
Oh,
Under
okay.
10 for sure.
Oh, yeah, 10.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think then. But on top of that, later on, I took up a duty as Binhi president for the local congregation of Cocoa Beach. And that was really where things started to be a lot more, I wouldn't say stressful, but there was a lot more of opportunities for growth for me as like a leader, because that was when you started doing things that, typically like things at that age you wouldn't start doing, like presentations, creating agendas, things like that. It's really not something that you would see or experience as, being maybe like 14 years old, 15 years old, things like that.
I love how you mentioned that, because it's true. Like, so you have this responsibility at like 10-ish years old, right? You're like, okay, I have to prepare all these things. That's quite big, because in this, as far as like when it comes to school, right? Yes, we have homework, we have things like that, but it's majorly like in group settings, right? It becomes such routine, right? And then to be a choir member at a young age, right? You're like, okay, I have to remember, I'm going to take my hymnal, right? My music binder. I've got to take these. I have to be on time, and this is really just like all you. And then you transition into something which you said, like Binhi, like a Binhi leader. And we discussed earlier that Binhi are those that are baptized, and so you're roughly about 12 years old, right? About 12, 13 years old. And when you transition into this role, like you said, presentations, for anyone, that's nerve wracking, right? Like you're going to stand up and do presentations. you put the presentation together, you present the presentation, and it's not like you're presenting to your only age group, right? Because we usually involved, especially when it comes to Christian family organizations, you're presenting to our superiors, right? To these are like older brethren too, because we have our, we have those that are in our what you call the booklet organization, or the married brethren are there. And then we have our spiritual leaders that are usually present for those things. So I can only imagine you're like 12 years old and you have this presentation, you're like, oh, this is so nerve-wracking, but that's where it starts, right? You push through it, and once you've done that, and again, when it comes to Christian family organizations, that purpose, that reason, that love, it drives you. You did it. And then it motivates you to get through to the next one. And at the age of Benhi, you were doing this, and now here you are, Kadiwa, right? And well, you said you're just reports. I know that this has helped in those, all those skills that you've kind of that have developed over time have helped you in your current role, not only in Christian family organization, but also with work too, right?
Yes, I would agree with that statement. A lot of my work, being in the tech industry, aside from being on the computer coding 24/7, is that there's a lot of different meetings that have to be attended.
Ooh.
So a lot of meetings with cross-functional teams, making sure that everybody's aligned with what the objective is, things like that. So having that previous experience of, as you said, presenting in front of our superiors or even our peers, that was already done when I was Benhi, or even throughout as I was growing up as Kadiwa. Being that I've already done that, being able to transfer that same experience into the corporate world, standing up and speaking with all of my peers, it made it much easier. A lot of my different team members, they were really nervous. They were like, "Oh my gosh, like I've never done this before. I'm so nervous. I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to make presentations." And I'm just there. I'm like, "Oh no, like it's okay. Like it'll be super super normal. Don't worry about it." Things like that. Trying to reassure them that it'll be okay.
And you know what? Isn't that lovely? And you kind of don't think about it until we have conversations like this, that you're like, you know what? It started from the time that we were youth. So again, parents, if you're listening, aunties, uncles, if you're listening, let's bring our youth, encourage them to be not just active in these CFO activities, but let's encourage them to be officers. There's love, there's family there, and we gain we develop these skills. You mentioned your presentations, right? So that's something, right? So communication is huge, y'all. And it's not just communicating with our age group, learning the process, like Andrew, like what you said, you have to understand the bigger picture. Like you're not just communicating to your partner, to this person and that person that's within your committee. You have to communicate and understand the chain, right? The chain of command, and how does that work? And understand, okay, well, I don't report directly to this superior. You have to understand what their vision is to be able to function well, at this level, like, okay, well, I got to get this done. So it really is a beautiful thing. And as you said, it's helped you in the corporate, area. It leaks out, to all these other things. And I think that is just such a beautiful thing to hear. And for me as a mom, I think that's beautiful. That's just, which is why for our household, we also encourage it too. So let's do it, parents, right? Let's definitely encourage that. So Angelina, I'm going to kind of run to you. What are some of the skills specifically? And, when you hear arts and culture, I know there's some of you thinking, oh, artsy fartsy, like why, like really? No, it's big, right? Like this stuff is like, it's huge for activities. And like, so what are some of the skills that you have developed, or some of the skills that you like to bring to the table, and talk about why they are important?
Well, for the Arts and Culture Committee specifically, we create some of like the biggest activities of the year, some of the most stressful activities of the year. But that's a good thing, because that's
Yes.
where you can learn from those. You can either take it and it can hurt you, or you can take it and you can grow from it. So
Oh,
as a leader perspective, it teaches you stress management. It teaches you how to maneuver through a lot of moving parts,
mm,
especially in these kind of activities. There's so many different parts that you have to keep track of. There's so many things that you have to be aware of,
yeah.
and that can be related to almost anything in life. When you become an adult, whether that's work, whether that's family, it's your life is going to become more than just yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to be right.
Whoa, that's big.
When you're in school, you're thinking, okay, I got to do my homework. I got to clean my room. I got to, I got to do my chores. But when you grow up, it's like you got to do yours and someone else's. you got to you got to be a team player. And I think that taking leadership positions, it forces you to be active. It forces you to engage in a
Mhm.
lot of things in life where you do learn those skills. And that's how the world works. You become an active player in the world.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah.
I think you totally nailed it on that one because, while you guys, okay, so for those of you who are listening, when you hear that it's stressful, y'all, that's life, right? Life is going to throw us all these different stresses. And I think the most important thing is how we handle that stress. And if we don't expose and the stress that's coming along with it is good stress. And I'm going to say it's good stress because we won't know how to handle stress unless we have these early doses of it and start to manage it early on in life, right? So, and with the purpose that we have in the CFO, I mean, what beautiful blend can we ask for when it comes to working at communication, working as a team, and we have the support. And when I say support, it's not just the love and the support that we get. We have that spiritual support from our leaders, right? That help us to get through this. And it's just, I love, y'all heard it from the arts and culture, right? He's from the arts and culture man himself. It's true. These things, it's life is not just about us anymore, right? It's about, our whole community and helping each other and doing all these things. And that's so important. And I'm sure, Brother Angelo, you said that this is also, something that you apply for in your work, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
big. It's
Mhm.
big.
And like I said, not even work, just your personal life,
Yeah.
just with family, because family it's important too. As you grow up, you realize, your parents can't do everything.
No,
They can't always do everything for
no.
you. They're gonna get old, and you're gonna have to take charge. You're gonna have to step up and be an active participant in your family.
You know what? The day that you realize that, you're like, oh man, yeah, that's the day that you really truly grow up, and you're like, mentally, you're like, oh.
But you become really appreciative
Mhm.
of your leaders, or for example, in your family, of your parents, because you see what they had to do, what they went through, like,
Yeah.
taking charge of the team, of the family.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And it's definitely a big thing. And can you guys believe I want to continue this conversation? I love talking to you all about this. And I can't believe that we've come to almost the bottom of the hour. And I think, we just said how all these skills help. I mean, Angelina, you mentioned like in family, but as you can see, as you have all heard, for those of you that are listening, all these skills are something that have been developed over time, that have helped not just when it comes to our Christian, spiritual duties inside the church, but it has helped in just life, dealing with others, sharing our faith when it comes to working out there. So parents, if you hear this, please, if there's anything there's a nugget you can take away, let's encourage our kids. Let's let them be Christian family organization officers, because as you heard it from here, these leadership skills are just skills that we can take with us, and they continue to grow. So with that, thank you all for joining us. Julia, Andrew, Angelino, Cass, thank you so much for joining us. I think we're going to have another portion of this conversation. So again, for all of you who are tuning with us, thank you for tuning in to INC Radio Florida. We're delighted to always have you. Please stay tuned because we have Washington, D.C. next. Thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful week, and we hope to see you again next time. Take care, everyone.